Good evening. On your screen is a live view of our Fusion 2 rocket awaiting its liftoff in just 7.5 minutes from now. Today marks our 8th mission of the year and will also mark our second successful soft touchdown at our landing zone if all goes well. Onboard Fusion 2 is the Enterprise to Luna lander from DAXT, which we shall take a deeper look at right now. Enterprise 2 is an experimental lander designed to test and verify all systems needed for the Enterprise 3 mission that will deliver basic equipment that'll allow for the construction of a base on the Luna surface. The vehicle is utilizing a hypergolic propellant named hydrazine for its main engines and has been fitted with numerous scientific payloads. The most notable is a small rover which will be deployed post-landing to take images of Luna and study the lander to see how it handled the landing. Propellant loading has been progressing well on the rocket and we are scheduled to finish that in just 4 minutes. We are trying out some new tank farm equipment today which has allowed us to reduce propellant loading to just 30 minutes. This is ideal for us as it minimizes boil-off in our tanks and speeds up launch operations. Today's mission is going to be relatively simple. The target orbit today is a 150 km periapsis and 1,500 km apopsis, which we shall achieve with just a single burn from our upper stage engines. As a result, we will be showing the deployment of Enterprise 2 during our webcast today, and that will occur just after the T+8 minute mark. A few days ago, our teams here at Fusion Space celebrated the first anniversary of our Fusion 1 launch. On July 10th at 8:30 p.m. BST, Fusion 1 lifted off for the first time, marking our first ever launch. As you may know, the vehicle experienced performance and gimballing issues during the first stage phase of flight, causing an unplanned roll for the duration of the mission. After stage separation, our second stage failed to ignite properly and the vehicle lost control, prompting the automated flight termination system to trigger. Over the past year, we've come a long way since Fusion 1 and hope to continue pushing the limits, which will enable Druids to colonize Silero and Taurus.
T-5 minutes.
We've just passed through the 5-minute mark. Everything continues to look great here in mission control. It does seem like we won't need our hold today and we expect a clean liftoff on schedule. Just so you all know what to expect today, at T-2 seconds you'll see all 14 ELS engines ignite, and around 4 seconds later the pad clamps will release, letting the vehicle lift off. Shortly after liftoff at around T+1 minute, we'll hit max Q or maximum dynamic pressure. This is where the rocket is experiencing the greatest stress on the way to space. At T+2 minutes and 15 seconds we'll see all the engines shut down on the booster and the separation of the second stage. As the second stage heads to space, it'll deploy the fairings, exposing the payload to the vacuum of space. While this is happening, the booster will start boosting back towards our launch site for an experimental recovery attempt. The booster will perform an entry burn at around 50 km to do final corrections and slow down just a little. And if all goes well, we'll have a final landing burn at 3 km and a successful soft touchdown at LZ1. Just as a reminder for today, we will be showing the deployment of Enterprise 2. That will happen at around T+8 minutes.
Vehicle prop load completed.
Okay, Fusion 2 has been fully loaded with the propellant needed for today's flight. We'll see the tower lines vent off any leftovers at around the 1-minute mark. We'll see you again after liftoff.
Propellant line closeouts. Proceed past 30-second hold gate. "15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff. Go Fusion 2. Go Enterprise 2.
Airless chamber pressures nominal. Vehicle pitching downrange.
"30 seconds into flight. We have all engines lit on Fusion 2. We've heard all good callouts so far. Next step is max Q.
Max Q.
We've passed max Q and everything is still looking nominal. What a sight as we head into space. In just a minute we'll see MECO and stage separation.
Power and telemetry nominal. MECO. Stage separation. Second stage ignition. Boost back startup.
We just saw a lot of things happen there. We have a booster on its way back home and Enterprise 2 is on its way into space.
Fairing separation confirmed. ELS vac chamber pressures looking good.
Amazing views from our fairing cameras there.
Boost back shut down.
Okay, and with that, booster is now going to enter a short coast phase. At around 50 kilometers, we'll see a quick entry burn to make final adjustments and slow down just a little bit. What a great mission we've had so far.
Booster FTS is saved. Booster entry burn startup.
You can see it there on the video feed. Stage 1 is currently performing its entry burn. Stage 2 is currently still on track and all systems continue to be nominal.
Entry burn shut down.
Looks like we've got some fin action there. The booster will now start to tilt slightly to get some horizontal speed. This will help us slow down and translate over to our landing site, which we may struggle to see unfortunately due to the time of day.
Nominal orbital insertion.
And as you heard there, Stage 2 has successfully reached orbit. We'll see the payload deployment shortly, but let's watch as our booster gets closer and closer to our landing burn.
Booster landing burn startup.
And there's that landing burn. We've got 10 healthy engines. We've transitioned to 6 engines. Let's see if our booster pops into frame.
Landing burn shut down.
And there we have it. Stage 1 has landed for a second time. What an incredible sight. And it looks like the booster may be tipping over. But that's okay. This was an experimental landing attempt. A little unfortunate, but we'll see what happens on our next flight. Now let's switch back over to Stage 2. We are currently in orbit awaiting payload deployment, which should occur in just 30 seconds.
Enterprise 2 payload deployment confirmed. Godspeed, DAXT.
And with that, we'd like to congratulate all of our teams for the success of today's mission. We'd also like to thank DAXT for trusting us with today's mission and wish them all the best on their landing attempt on Luna. We also thank all of you for tuning into today's mission. You can stay up to date on our Juno page or X page. Have a great night.